All right, hold on. Hope everyone's having a good rainy night tonight.
I don't understand whether it'd be a password to get in if they're not going to know everyone who's here, so they just let everyone in anyway. Or sorry, it's not.
All right, I don't see anyone else in the waiting room, so maybe we'll get started and I can just keep an eye on things. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Oh, Yosef is coming. Hold on. Okay. Hi, welcome. My name is Sophie Block. Oh, I'm going to mute some people. My name is Sophie Block. I am the Director of Jewish Student Life for Jewish Community Partners, and normally that means that I am the Hillel Director at University of Memphis and Rhodes. During the school year, I work with college students, but during the summer, it means I get to do cool projects for pre-college students like you all. And I'm happy that you're all here and participating in this initiative. I'm also joined by my colleague, Sarah Vanderwald. Sarah, want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I work at the Jewish Foundation of Memphis, which is part of Jewish Community Partners. And many of you know me because I run the B'nai Tzedek program, which is the teen philanthropy program in Memphis. So I'm glad to see everyone here. Many of you know me already. And feel free to ask questions or use the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat during this call.
Cool. So what we're going to go over this evening should be pretty straightforward. We're just going to reiterate some of the activities and guidelines that count towards this initiative to make sure that everyone's on the same page and that everything you're doing is qualified for this program. And we're also going to review what the next steps are in the application process to start logging your hours. So you should have all submitted your applications already. I'm pretty sure everyone here has, and gotten a confirmation email. And you're able to log back in to your initial application to now access part 2 of the application, which we'll go over in a second. Before I jump into that, I'm going to just share my screen and start at the beginning, which is the application itself. 1 second. Okay. So yes, if you haven't applied for the for Camp at Home yet, you can apply at this URL, jcpmemphis.org/camp. Click to apply. All of the information about the initiative is here, which we're going to review. There are also some sample programs at the bottom if you want to participate but don't know where to start or don't want to do an independent study or self-guided type program. And then the last thing that's on this page is this click to apply button. Even if you've already applied, you should be able to click this and log back in to log your hours for the second part of the application. So if you get lost or need to know where the website is, just go back to this camp webpage. So just a reminder of some of the main points about this program and guidelines. This is to incentivize Memphis middle school and high school students to do something Jewish with their summer. We all know that camp and Israel trips and a lot of the things that we love about Jewish summer are not happening the way they normally do this year. So this is a way to inspire you to make the most of your Jewish summer. Middle school students are required to participate in 25 hours of Jewish engagement this summer, and high school students are required to participate in 30 hours. And the students that do that and participate using qualified or approved activities will get $150 if you're in middle school or $250 if you're in high school. One other reminder is that you're able to start logging your hours that you did, even if you did them back in June. So we're in July 1st right now. We're launching this program now, about halfway through summer. If you've already done some of the activities that you've listed in your application that has been approved, you can count hours that you spent before now, anytime after June 1st. So from June 1st to August 6th is the window of time. And one important thing to note about some of the activities that don't count towards this initiative are davening or preparing for a bar or bat mitzvah. Those are things that are super important and meaningful, but those are things you would be doing anyway, and they're not summer specific things. So unfortunately, those hours or time spent doing those things can't count for this. Also, doing recreational or secular camp type activities doesn't count even if you're doing those activities with other Jews. So for example, some students have put together programs where they're leading campers, like younger neighbors of theirs, in a camp during the day while their parents are working. Time you spend doing Jewish activities and Jewish learning or preparing Jewish learning, that time counts, but time spent just playing basketball or swimming, doing recreational non-Jewish activities cannot count for this. Sarah, am I missing anything about what doesn't count?
Yes, there is a few schools went past June 1st. So if you went to a Jewish school that ended after June 1st, you cannot count any activities that you did through your school, even though it was Jewish related, because it was part of your school curriculum or extracurricular activity, but not part of your summer. So even if your summer didn't start June 1st, think of this Camp at Home program as whenever your summer started. So for you, it might be June 15th, but for others, it might be June 1st, as some schools ended in May. So just keep that in mind. It has to be something completely separate from whatever school you went to, and then everything that Sophie already mentioned.
Well, thank you for that reminder. And of course, there are a lot of things that do count towards this. So many of you have put great ideas into your applications, and if you've gotten this far, it probably means that they've been approved and that you're good to go. Participating in a virtual summer program, something that's organized, like some of these things at the bottom of this page, those are great ideas. Online learning opportunities, self-guided learning with a parent or a relative or a friend, great. Volunteering with or for a Jewish organization is also amazing. And as I mentioned, some of you are putting together Jewish learning activities for younger kids in the neighborhood, which is awesome too. So all of those ideas are fantastic. And if you need help coming up with an idea or a combination of ideas, remember, you don't have to do all your hours doing just one thing. Let Sarah or I know, and we're happy to discuss and brainstorm some ideas with you. Any questions so far before I go to part 2 of this webinar, which is walking you through the application, the next step in the application process?
Yes. I have a question.
Yeah,
does stuff before June 1st in the summer count or no?
Sorry, say that again.
If I did stuff before before today, does that count or no?
Yes, if you did it, if it's Jewish and it meets all those requirements and you did it before today, but after June 1st, and it wasn't for a bar mitzvah and it wasn't like davening or praying that you would be doing anyway, then yes. Does that answer your question?
I have a question. Part of what I'm doing is the kids that I am working with wouldn't daven during the day otherwise, and I'm davening with them. Could I count that, or should I not?
Sarah, what do you think?
Is this you mean you're like teaching children how to daven?
Yes and no. So they know how to daven and they do daven, but I am teaching them different sections of daven, if that makes any sense.
I think the time that you're teaching them can count. We just didn't want, if you're davening anyway, or you're studying for your bar mitzvah parsha anyway, this program was funded by people that really want you guys to go do something Jewish that you weren't going to do already this summer. So if you're teaching, I think that counts because, you probably would have been at Sleepaway Camp or somewhere else, not working with young children, I'm guessing. So I wouldn't count your personal time, but if you're working with other kids and you're teaching them, that can count.
Okay, thank you.
But if you're in the camp, you're also bike riding, swimming, sidewalk chalk, like
Yeah. I'm only counting the learning. Yeah.
Yes, just the learning, exactly.
Perfect. Any other questions for this part?
Do you think I can make like a Jewish playlist and then just share it with people?
Is that, Elise, you already have your hours mapped out.
It's just gonna take forever and it's a lot of like work.
We can talk offline. Your first idea was great. You should keep with it.
Okay.
All right.
Because remember, your preparation hours count. So anytime you're working, you're prepping, that counts too.
Wait, does that include prepping with the person to make the learning happen, or you just mean like overall?
Yeah, that can count. If you're preparing a curriculum to work with children, the preparation time counts. Let's say it takes you, 2 hours to come up with what you're going to do the next day, and the next day you work with the kids for 1 hour, so that's 3 hours. 100%, you can do that.
Great question. Okay. I'm going to run through, if this lets me, the next step in the application process. So once you log back in to where you applied initially, you'll now see, I don't know if this will show me. You'll see, yeah, here we go. This section down here is the application you would have already completed. It's green, which means it's complete, it's been approved. You'll now have three new sections to complete now that you've moved on to this stage in the process. So the first section is the section where you'll log your hours. It's going to take me a while. Okay. This is where you'll log your hours, and it's broken up by activity. So for example, if BBYO On Demand is one of the things you're doing over the course of the summer, then you would put that as the activity. You would put the number of hours you do for that, and then you would put the date range that you spent when those 10 hours happened. They happened sometime between June 1st and June 30th. Shabbat learning with a friend is a second activity. If you did 10 hours of this, maybe you did 10 hours of Shabbat learning, and then you put the dates that happened on. And you'll see that there are up to 10 activities listed here. So there's a lot of room for you to get very specific. Once you fill this out, and you can fill it out as you go, you would press save and continue, which allows you to save what's already up there. And then every time you go back, you'll be able to access that again. So let's say Shabbat learning got canceled, so you ended up only doing it for 6 hours. Then you can go back and update that and add another activity when you move on to the next thing. Again, always remember to press save and continue. And when you're done with that section, press mark as complete, and then move on to the next section, which I'll show you as soon as my computer loads.
We had a question, Sophie, in the chat. So can you go back and show, so the question was, where do you get to that page? So if you go back to where you logged in to apply for the application, it'll take you to where your status is. So that's Sophie's homepage because she already submitted part 1 of the application. Those of you on the call who haven't submitted it yet, you're still working on it, or you haven't even, logged in yet, you wouldn't see the top 3 here. So the top 3 are shown if you've already submitted your part 1. So those who have submitted it and got approved, you'll have those 3 sections right there. Does that answer your question? Okay, the next question that came in was, do we do the same activity twice if it was a total of more than 10 hours? I'm not sure I understand that question. Oh, because the drop down is only to 10. Yeah, I created the application in increments of 10. I don't remember why. Yeah, you'll have to write it twice. So if you did something that was 20 hours, it was the same thing. You have to just enter it twice. I think that's the easiest way to do it.
Right. And then you can, the dates can reflect when those first 10 hours, if you did 10 a week, then the dates can change.
Right. You would do like, right, exactly.
I've got a question or two questions.
Sure.
What happens if you learned for, let's say, 9.5 hours? What do you do? Do you do 9 hours or 10 hours or?
I don't know. We haven't gotten that question yet.
Also, let's say I'm learning with a rabbi, but I'm learning with two different rabbis, or do I do that as learning with a rabbi, or do I do two of them separately?
I would be as specific as you can. So I would do learning with one rabbi as one activity, and the number of hours you spend doing that, and then the second learning with the other rabbi as another activity.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about like a fraction of an hour, how to log that.
Yeah, I would say round down, or try to, if you know you're doing 9.5 and 9.5, do one is 9 and one is 10 to try to make it even. Just try to be as honest as you can.
Good question.
But I think it's too late to change the application. So, but that is a good question. Maybe if we have to do this again, we'll keep that in mind.
Good feedback. So once this section is complete, again, you mark it as complete, and then you'll be able to move on to the next section, which is the student report. And this is where you'll do your reflection write-up based on 3 questions. Why did you choose the program? What are your takeaways from your experience, and how will you apply what you learned to your continued Jewish engagement? So here, we're looking for solid 4 to 6 sentence paragraphs in each of these. This is really your opportunity to justify to us why this was a meaningful summer and why you made it count. And this is also some of what we'll be asking you to present on during our final community-wide end of summer Zoom celebration on August 6th. So fill these out carefully, and hopefully they'll really reflect what you learned and what you are taking away from this. Because again, you'll have to talk about it during the presentation moment. Yes, Sarah.
So we got a question about Jewish movies and books. Do they count? So I don't know if you want to answer that, Sophie.
Yes, as long as you're able to synthesize at the end of reading them why, like if you can answer these 3 questions about what you read and watched in a significant way and talk about it in a meaningful way, then yes, I think so. That's been our.
Yes, exactly.
Does the time that you spend writing the answers to the questions count as learning? So if you're writing the movie and then you start answering, if you watch the movie then start answering the questions, does that time, because you're thinking about it while you're writing it, count?
No, unfortunately not. But if you take notes while you're watching the movie, oh, my internet's gonna, my
here
is flickering. Okay, it does not count as separate time, unfortunately, but you could take notes and things while you're watching the movie to make the writing go faster, perhaps.
Okay, the next question that came in, what about based on true Jewish stories? I guess movies based on true Jewish stories. I would say yes, but as long as you're able to document and, explain the impact or what you learned from that movie. If it really is Jewish based. But if you want to email you know, Sophie or I with specifics. If you didn't put in your application the exact movie name, we're happy to review it, so that way you know it counts before you get to August 6th and find out that you don't get your money.
Good questions. Okay, again, with this section, you can save and continue editing as you go, or when you're done, mark as complete for it to be complete. And then you'll go to the last section, which is where you can upload your the photos that you take doing whatever you're doing. So we would love for you to submit up to 3 photos of whatever you did this summer to document it and help tell the story of why it was meaningful. And then we'll be sharing those during the final ceremony and using that to really celebrate you and what you've done this summer. So you upload using an attached file. It should be pretty straightforward. And then mark as complete. Once you mark as complete, you're not done. There's one final step, which is to press this submit button. So right now you can see the submit button is all gray because I haven't actually completed this. But once all 3 sections are complete and the circles are full green circles, then this submit button becomes an active button. And that's when you press submit and you're all done with reporting on what you've done. Any questions about the logistics? Or Sarah, did I leave anything out about the logistics?
I think, yeah, you spoke about hitting save, right? So make sure, especially when you're logging your hours, my guess is that you'll log them every week. It's probably easier. So you know you did 5 hours this week, you'll go in, you'll log your activity. Make sure you scroll all the way down and you hit save and continue editing. So that way it'll be there next time and we can see it if we need to check in and make sure you guys are on the right track. That way, you know, your data is not lost. So that's very important to hit that save button.
Yes. Any questions, any other questions about the application part of the process?
I just have a question.
Sure.
About if I'm like doing something that's ongoing throughout the whole summer, should I log it per week or just wait until I know how many hours it is?
Probably better if you log it per week.
Per week? Okay.
Yeah, because then once you hit 30, you can stop.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I mean, you're more than welcome to do more than 30 of Jewish engagement, but you'll get the money after 30, so.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Sarah and I are both very easy to reach if you have any other questions or run into technical difficulties when you log back in and start adding in all your content to the next part of the application. So feel free to reach out to us. And we're really excited that you're doing this summer. And I think with that, I will say good evening to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.